Hello, 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 Ruben here. Hi there. Welcome everybody to this live episode of the Samplecast. Well, it's sort of an episode. It's a live stream of Sample Logic's trailer Xpressions. It's impossible to hear myself with the headphones on. They are all-encompassing headphones. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be here for the next, I don't know, hour or so, basically however long it takes me to rumble through all of the various sounds and patches in trailer Xpressions, and I'm also going to be trying to put together a track. That's why I've got this time around not just the contact interface, I've also got up the session in Logic, which at the moment I just had this demo track playing, which was a really nice track from one of the demo writers over at Sample Logic. Something really cool, but yeah, we're going to get rid of that. See you later. And we'll start with just one session. Let me give you a little bit of a heads up about trailer Xpressions. It's something that I was involved in doing the walkthrough videos for, and one of the demos. I also did a kind of a doorcast video to put into the demos. And I was really impressed by the library, actually. Some people saying that they can't see the video. Just waiting for that to catch up. Seems to be starting again. Don't know what's up with OBS today. It's been crapping out on me a couple of times, but YouTube is telling me the live stream is healthy, so let's go for it. Let's go for it. Hopefully, if you miss anything out as we go along, you can catch up on the replay. Anyway, trailer Xpressions by Sample Logic. It is a huge pack, and it's kind of two libraries in one, really. Before I get into it, I'm going to give you guys, as promised on Facebook and the shout outs earlier, I'm going to give you the promo code so you can get 10% off. I'm going to be doing this video for an hour, and for those watching on catch up, you can try the promo code. I think Sample Logic will be keeping it on for a little time afterwards, but basically you can get 10% off everything at Sample Logic. That includes bundles, that includes trailer Xpressions, the pack I'm going to be looking at today, and pretty much anything. You just type in the coupon code when you get to the checkout. It's the Samplecast 10 off. Excuse me, I'm sinking down in my chair. And just do that at the checkout time and you'll get 10% off. That is just a little bonus from Sample Logic. Thank you so much, guys. They've given me that code so that I can share it with you guys and really just sort of spread the love and help you maybe make a decision on picking this up or anything else by the guys. You might see another couple of other tutorial walkthroughs that I've done for Electricity and for Rhythmology as well. Obviously you can get 10% off those as well, but don't hesitate because that code will be withdrawn. It's supposed to be being withdrawn at the end of the show, but I might twist their arm and see whether they can keep it on for a little while longer, maybe a few hours. Anyway, let's get into trailer Xpressions. So it's a big pack that I've had my hands on for some time. It is basically a very easy way, certainly I find it very easy to use. It's a very easy way to construct trailer and hybrid scores with sound design, and there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Before we go through the patches, I will just explain how the library is set out, and I've actually managed to open it here. So you've got, within the library itself, you've got the raw samples, all split into categories: impacts, pulses, whoosh bangs, that kind of thing, rises, hits. You can see everything there. All of those are available as WAV files, so super easy. You can just literally drag them and drop them onto your DAW. And Bob's your uncle and Fanny is your aunt. Super easy. If you've got anything that you particularly like the sound of within the NKI files that are also attached, you can go in and find it as well, so I'll come on to that in a second. But basically everything you've got, I think it's about over 1,000 WAV, something like that. quite a few there. And because they're categorized nicely, you can really just sort of go through and pick and choose and drag them into your projects and hear them straight away. That is a nice, big, fat, nasty downer. I'm going to give you a bit of a heads up actually. I'll play some of these not by dragging them into the DAW necessarily, but I will use this little bit of software which is Snapper 2. Something I highly recommend actually. I think it's only available for Mac. If you tend to use a lot of stuff on Mac and previewing samples, then it's really handy. You can just highlight a WAV or an MP3 or any kind of audio file, and it will normally just pop up and play it. Of course, it's not doing it now because I want it to, but let me show you. Might have to just reboot it. It's not going to do it. Of course, it's not going to do it. But I use it all the time for just previewing stuff on the fly, really. Let's start it again. There we go. And it shows a waveform. Really handy bit of software. Can't remember who makes it. Somebody can probably remind me. Not sure. Snapper 2. Audio Ease. That's, I think, who makes it. Let's have a look. Yeah, Audio Ease. And it just pops up. It's super easy. And you can even do stuff like this. You can actually highlight sections and drag straight from Snapper into your DAW. I use that a lot. Crazy stuff. Anyway, enough about Snapper. You'll be seeing that pop up now and again, no doubt. So we've got all those raw WAV files. They're all fantastic. They're big and fat, and they're multi-layered as well, which is where the Trailer Xpressions NKI comes in handy for kind of filtering them and doing things like that. Oh, lots of people joining us now. Hi guys. So those are your raw WAV samples, and then you've got a selection of NKI instruments. So percussives, pulses, all of those categories again, basically just as NKIs, and everything is laid out across the keyboard, so you can literally play up the keyboard. They're the booms. Brahms. Now the handy thing about having all of this in the NKI files is that you can do a lot of adjustments without having to mess about with it in your DAW necessarily. Let's find some distorted maybe. Yeah, so there's a number of things you can do within the NKI contact file once it's loaded up into Contact or Complete Control, as I've got it loaded here. We'll come on to the first two controls right at the top here a little bit later, but let me first deal with the actual files themselves. Because you've got a waveform here, super easy to see what's going on. And you can adjust the start point of that. And that applies for the whole NKI instance, so it's really easy to preview stuff. You could get just the tail end if you wanted. Something a bit softer. Got a global pitch control as well. And of course any of these controls you can assign. Let me do that to the mod wheel. And of course, because I'm trying to show you guys this, my Complete Control keyboard has just had a spasm and decided to stop. Gonna unplug that. Start it again. Has anyone got one of those new Complete Control keyboards? I've had my eye on those. They look pretty nice, I must say. Really loving the look of those. Let's set that up so that I can trigger these with the keyboard. Just give me 1 sec. going to work from the keyboard at all? No, it isn't. That is super helpful. Thank you so much, my system. We'll sort that out in a minute. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, you've got a number of controls, as I say, the pitch as well. And again, these are global controls just for that NKI file. So you can change the pitch on the fly. You've got attack and release controls. I probably don't have to explain what those do, but the releases are quite handy. Give a nice tight release or a much longer one. Then you've got some effects in the centre. There's delay, a number of different categories of delay. Let's move off of the distorted and try one of the other ones. Brahms, massive selection of Brahms. So you can adjust the wet and dry of the delay in the centre there, and the delay preset is just selected underneath it. It's quite nice when you push it over to almost all the way wet, because you get a sort of a mellow version. And convolution is reverb, basically. Loads and loads of different presets up in there. And again, wet dry mix on the top. Let's find something like a hit. There we go. Let's have a listen to the selection of hits, because there you can really hear what the delay and the convolution reverb are doing. Is that loud enough? Can you hear what's going on, everybody? Might turn it up a little bit. Seems a bit quiet at my end. Hello, Dagmar. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. That's a really long, kind of smeary effect. 100% wet. Let's see how it goes. Oh, nice. Isn't that on 100% wet? Really kind of spacey effects. So you can see how easy it is just using that delay and convolution to make these sounds radically different, and I haven't even touched the controls too much at the top here yet. Very inspirational. And then you've got low cut and high cut as well. So you can make any sound into a kind of more boomy version just by taking out the highs. And of course you can go into the edit menu and adjust the bandwidths of those, the EQ controls, that sort of thing. If you're really into messing about under the hood, that can be done. But even when I was doing the demos for Trailer Xpressions, I wasn't thinking that I would really need to do that, to be honest. And I didn't. All of the controls that I had on the front here are super easy. Hello to everybody else joining us. There's a few new highs and a few new people. Hi there. I'll just remind everybody who's joining us, don't forget, if you do fancy anything from Sample Logic during this, head over to the Sample Logic site, use the code the Samplecast 10 off, all lowercase, the Samplecast 10 off, and that will get you 10% off everything at Sample Logic, all the bundles, Trailer Xpressions, whatever you fancy, just stick it in at the coupon code bit. So let's try, you know what, I'm gonna just come out of this for a sec, come out of Logic, because I want to be able to trigger stuff on the keyboard, and my complete control keyboard seems to have collapsed. I'm just going to boot up Logic again, see if I get that working, because we're not going to have much fun if my input keyboard isn't working. Let's have a look. Here we go. Anyone wondering who this is, by the way? This is the sample hound. Well, kind of. The sample cat can't join us today, but that's the sample hound. He's keeping an eye on me. Hooray! Right, control keyboard is back, so that is brilliant. Anybody else have problems with their complete control keyboard sort of crapping out now and again and just disconnecting itself? I know it happens occasionally for me. Obviously it does happen when I'm trying to show people stuff all of the time. Let me know if in the comments if anyone's got one of those keyboards and it's causing difficulties. Okay, let's get on to some of the other categories. So percussives, we've heard a few of those, not enough, but we will go into those in a little bit more detail later. Sorry, just reading the comments here from Raymond Ricker. You can just randomly drop WAV files in your door and see what we get. That is true. Yes, you can definitely do that. So, atmospheres. Let's have a listen to those. These are long, by the way. Very long. Which is great. If you wanted to see how long, you can actually look at the file name here, TX Atmo 17, and you could go into the samples, open up the atmospheres, where are they, and find number 17. We could do if it was ordered correctly. You can see that 30 seconds long. Some of them are enormous. Let me just order them by size. That one is a minute and a half nearly. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying, Raymond, about the M Audio 88 Key Pro. I had one of those, and one of the reasons that I changed is that it did keep randomly disconnecting itself. So I feel your pain. So the atmospheres here. Let's go into the Energizer and the Polisher. Now, these have some sneaky little under the hood tricks, and you can just activate them by clicking those buttons, as you saw here, and you can also adjust. The Energizer gives a little bit difficult to explain. They both do a subtly different thing. The Energizer is kind of saturation, a little bit of kind of top end sparkle, and the Polisher adds a bit of grit. But they both do sort of similar things, but they sound different. I'll let you hear. It's a little bit of drive added with the Energizer. With the Polisher, it's a little bit more sparkly. But basically you can use both of those to sort of push the sound, I find, a lot more upfront. Doesn't really work so well with atmospheres, because you're usually wanting those to sit at the back of the soundscape. But yeah, if you were to use that on whooshes and things like that, you can make those really pop out. See how that works? Some really nasty kind of grumbly sounds if you increase those a lot. So those are your basic controls for Trailer Xpressions. And when I was putting together the walkthrough video for this, which was a couple of weeks ago, for the guys over at Sample Logic, I really only used a couple of those onboard effects because the basic sounds are so good. Obviously, if you want to push it into the realms of sound design and flexibility, that kind of stuff, then yeah, they're there so that you can do that. But yeah, I didn't really need them, to be honest. So rather than go through all of these sounds and just play through, because I know there's a couple of people that have already done some examples of those and videos of those online. I'm sure you don't want to hear me just play a bunch of impacts and go, wow, ooh, ah. wow, ooh, ah. I'm going to make a tune. I'm going to make a tune. And if you've got any suggestions for this as we go along, I am all ears. I'll keep my eyes on the comment section, just on my other screen over there. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. I'm going to try and not use really any other external effects or instruments or anything like that. I'm just going to create a kind of a sound design mashup and see how we get on. Sample logic energizer equals distortion, saturation and compression. I knew they'd know exactly what they did. To me it just means audio goodness, but they know what's going on under the hood. So I'm going to get started, and I'm going to use a combination of the NKIs and also just dragging some of the stuff in as well, some of the WAVs on their own. So let me start with, I'm going to start with a big smash. I'm going to come in with a big bang. So let's look at impacts 2. I'll audition some of those. Oh, one thing I haven't mentioned actually is that if there's anything you like while you're auditioning things, you want to go back to, you can actually favourite it with the little heart icon there, and you'll see the keys turn red, and those should remain even when you reload the instrument. So let's just see if that happens. Yeah, there you go. So you can just favourite things using the little heart icon, and even when you reload that NKI in another project, it will still keep your favourite keys highlighted red. So that's cool. Not something I've seen in a lot of other libraries. I think it was first introduced in rhythmology, but it's nice to see it here. So let's have some impacts. That one's good, 60. And I'm just going to audition in the NKI file, and I'm going to find the actual sample and just drag that in, because I don't want too many instances of contact open while I'm streaming, because I think that's going to mess things up. Donna Grace can't get the discount code to work. Uh-oh. The Samplecast 10 off. Follow the link in the video description first off. You'll need to do that, so just click the link underneath the video description, and then on the coupon code should be the Samplecast 10 off. I will double check that. Actually, maybe Sample Logic, since you're in the chat room, maybe you can check that for us, but yeah, that should work. Come back to me if there's any problems. Make sure you follow the link in the description of the video, or if you're watching via the Samplecast page, there's an obvious link where you have to click that as well. So I've got my impact here. My god, that's loud. So that's quite, it's got quite a lot of high end in it, so I'll balance that out with a boom as well for a bit of low end to start with. That one. Nice. That is a good way to start. Now let me have an atmosphere, or a pulse actually. Maybe an atmosphere and a pulse. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so we've got the atmospheres here. Oh, you know what? That first one I played, that's nice. Okay, let's play that in. I'm not going to wait for that to play all the way through. Let me just extend that. Nice. Those big hits might be a bit too intense right at the start, so I'll just bring those down a little bit. As you can see, this is really simple stuff, but that's what's nice about trailer expressions. Now let's get some pulse in there. I'm going to introduce that slowly. So the pulses and sirens, the rhythmic stuff, I know the feed is dying, guys, but bear with it. Hopefully it will pop back. The rhythmic stuff is tempo synced in the NKI files. So if we put in the let's have a look. Let's put in the pulses. These are all tempo synced. So at the moment my project's 100 BPM. Actually, I'm going to jack it up a bit. 100 is a bit slow. 125. That's quite nice. Kind of alien-y. Got those tracks the wrong way around, but I can soon fix that. This is the trouble. I never name my tracks until right at the end when I'm having to bounce stuff out for stems. I'm a nightmare for that. So let's use that drone. I'm going to use the attack to bring that in very slowly, so it misses the initial crash of those booms and impacts at the beginning. Nice. Just make sure that's quantized. There we go. Donnie in the chat, I know you're trying to get hold of this with the coupon code. Don't you worry, Sample Logic are fixing that up right now for you. So how's that sound? I want to come in with some kind of sort of drums, hits, percussion, that sort of stuff. Let's have a new... Does anyone else forget to do that? Click in Logic there to make sure that everything, the track that they're working on actually has the right contact instance. I always forget to do that. It's very annoying. Let's try some process percussion. Process percussion 2. That's nice. It's a bit... There you go. I'm going to put a low cut on that because there's a lot of low end weight in that. And I don't like having to... There we go. I don't like having to battle with the booms. So let's try that. My fingers aren't fast enough. Da-da-dum. Da-da-dum. Nice basic little percussion thing there. Might repeat that a couple of times actually, just to see how that sounds. I'm going to do some more fancy stuff with automation in a minute, but at the moment I'll leave that as it is. Now I want it to go didadum boom, didadum boom. So we'll have some of the separate samples there. Scrapes. Like that, but I don't want the beginning of that, so I can chop that off manually in my DAW. Obviously you could use the NKI version of it as well. The coupon code issue is fixed. Anyone who's trying to sort that out, it's fixed now. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun. That's nice. Let's do something a bit more fancy with a new track. That's alright for the start of the piece. Okay. So, I'm going to do a whoosh bang. Let's load the NKI of whoosh bangs up. That's a nice one. And I'm going to automate the pitch on that. I'm going to automate the pitch, and alongside that I'm going to automate the high cut as well on the same controller. See what that's doing? So that link effect is really cool. You can do that with pretty much all of the dials on here. And if I add a bit of convolution reverb, yes, you get a nice effect as you move it around. Always forget which one I'm playing. Let me favourite that. Woohoo, that's crazy. Nice and subtle in the background. Okay, that's cool. Right, let's start putting this together quickly then. Dragging and dropping some stuff. More percussives. That's nice. Let's have that on the next track. Get rid of the mixer for a minute. Where am I putting that? So it hits on the beat. Might have to shuffle the timings around of that a little bit. Just collapse all those tracks that I'm using already. Cool. Any more suggestions for the track, guys? It's a real sound design craziness at the moment. That is nice. There's a lot of stuff going on there with the sound, but we've only got really 8 tracks going. Let me beef up those little hits that I've got in there, because them on their own, they're okay, but I think they could do with a bit of doubling with something else. And the nice thing about this pack, one of the other nice things about this library, is that because you've got all the keys, all the different sounds mapped across the different keys, you can just drag and copy so you get a kind of doubled, trebled, quadrupled, whatever you fancy effect. And again. Yep, nice. What happens if we move that down? at the end. Don't want it too kind of machine gunny. I like that. Suggestion from Raymond: an eerie bass BPM arpeggiated at quarter notes. Might actually be able to find that already set up without too much hassle. Let me have a listen to the pulses and see what I can find there. Just get a new track going. This is starting to get complicated in terms of the amount of tracks that I've got. Normally when I'm just composing day to day, I don't have to worry about talking while I'm going through it. Let's see if I can find anything pulsing in that vein. Anyone who's wanting to use the code, you might have seen it with quotation marks. There's no quotation marks, it's just the samplecast 10 off, all in lowercase. Which one of these do you fancy, Raymond? Oh, that's kind of cool. If we kill the highs on that, you get a nice sound there. We might have to pitch it to match the vague pitch of our existing track, but let's see. Is that the same one as before? Got a feeling it's the same one as before. Let's have a look. What was that? It was 27. Doesn't matter if it is, just wondered if it was. Where's the other pulse? There. What's that one? Let's see. Oh no, it's 30. Cool. Slight variation, just kind of beefs it up there. Nice. More suggestions of pulses. Go on then, let's have some more. We'll copy and paste. Maybe something on the offbeat. Let's see what it throws up if I just try a few different things. That's quite cool. See how those two tracks sound on their own on the offbeat. It's getting into kind of synth territory right now, but what the hell? Okay then. Whatever you guys want, you're gonna get. I feel like it needs a bit of something over the top though, just to give it a bit of oomph as it goes along. I'm going to extend that atmosphere track out because that is at the moment just stopping. I'll just keep that going for ages. And the other pulse. No, that's the atmosphere. Let's get another atmosphere in. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's get a whoosh bang to push that out. Or a stinger, maybe a stinger. Let's see what that sounds like. Oh yeah, that's kind of spooky. Use that convolution. Somebody wants to hear some bass drops. We can find some bass drops probably. Can you adjust the sample start to make a fast attack? Yeah, no problem. Put that wherever you like. You can literally just drag it. That handle applies to all of the sample start points. Oh, that is a nice one. Cut out some lows of that. It's cool. I do like that. I wonder if I can make that fit into the mix a bit better though. Just make sure it's in tune. Really cool. Who wanted to hear some bass drops? Bass drops? Bass drop. See what I can find. Probably about time for a bass drop in this track. I have no idea where this track is going, by the way, people, but hopefully it's sounding interesting. Just trying to give a good idea of what this thing can do, really. Downers. I think that'll be your bass drops. Certainly be some in there. A lot of bass drops in there. Very kind of fat sounding, aren't they? This is why I hardly need any samples to be layered on top of each other. Oh yes, let's have that one. I'm going to put that just before that bar, so it comes in with the whoosh bang. Probably haven't lined that up at all correctly, but let's see. Ooh, super loud as well. That is going to blow the speakers of any THX system. Do you remember that in the cinema? Maybe I'm showing my age. When you used to have that boo THX come in before every film you watched. Need to change the attack on that a bit. Bring that up. So it's got quite a good foundation, hasn't it? I'm liking it. I don't want to throw too much at it for risk of kind of spoiling the vibe, really. There's a few things I haven't shown you though, and I really want to showcase those because some pretty cool stuff. Chuck Butler, great, I'm sold. That's good. This is not a sales presentation, but it's cool that you like it because I loved playing with it. He says, I don't do trailer music, but I use stuff like this all the time while scoring negative political ads. Can you chuck one of your links for a negative political ad? I'd quite like to see what you're doing with that sort of thing. Very interesting style. I'm going to let you hear some of the sirens. There's a lot of sirens. They're also tempo sync, just like the pulses. And I like the sirens. Some really weird sounds in there, but they'll probably suit this very odd piece that I'm doing. Where are the sirens? There we are. Now what I like about this package is that you can take a kind of harsh sound, just favourite that, harsh sound like this. You can soften it up with the low cut and high cut, but then you can exaggerate the properties that you've filtered out with the polisher and the energizer. And once you've stuck some delay on there and smeared it up a bit with the convolution reverb. Oh, not that one, makes it more harsh. Listen to that. So that's TX Alarm 3, and that originally sounded like this. If we listen to the original sample, TX Alarm 3, kind of harsh and, you know, very scratchy. But this sort of sound, using a few of those controls, is going to fit much better into the mix. I like that. So let's try. That's nice. So this is turning into a bit of a horror show, really. You're getting a kind of scary horror film music, but that's the vibe it's turning out as. I'd very rarely go in and, you know, just use one library for things, but you can imagine this sort of backing, and you've got strings and stuff like that. Let's have a whiz through some of the other sounds. Some of the ones that I haven't played yet. Not going to use them in the piece, but suckbacks. You know what? These are sounds that I always find quite hard to find in other libraries. It's just, let me give you an idea how they sound. So I'm so glad they have them here. I love these sounds. The problem with suckbacks is I often end up having to create my own. Ariel Francis, I bought it. Thanks for the coupon and the demonstration. No problem. My pleasure. I wasn't doing anything else tonight. Back to suckbacks. Yeah, these are the sort of things I always end up having to take Brahms and things and reversing them and layering up the sounds, and you know, these sounds are ubiquitous in trailers. You'll get, you know, intense, intense, intense. It'll rise up to a crazy level, and then there'll be, you know, a blackout or something will jump out. That kind of sound, really useful. You've got 24 of those just as the raw files, and, you know, God knows what you can do with them once you start putting them into the engine. But these are really useful, and I was just so happy to see suckbacks included. They're also a very kind of cool, cheaty way of finishing off a track, because you can just ramp up with a suckback super easily, and it kind of is louder than anything else, and then you can just kill everything else. It's the sort of thing where it finishes off a track nicely. And in actual trailers, you normally get, you know, a little tinkly piano thing afterwards or something like that. It's very stereotypical, but it works super well. So yeah, imagine our track was to finish there. That would be a place where you could use that suckback, and then, you know, a blackout. Or something will jump out. That kind of sound. I love that. quite often they don't finish on the beat, do they? Because it's more disorientating, especially with horror films and things. You get the suck back and it doesn't finish exactly on the beat. It finishes a completely different way. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to bounce all of this lot and convert it to audio. Let's do that. And this is cheating because it means I don't have to automate anything or deal with any of the ends of the sounds, nothing like that. I don't have to worry about doing any of that. I can literally just solo those two tracks. And this is something I do all the time, and it's totally cheating. It's awful if you're wanting to bounce off stems and things. You can never do it. You put a little fade at the end because you've consolidated all of your audio into one. So yeah, don't do this if you're ever going to want to do stems from your tracks. But yeah, this is handy in this respect. So just muted everything else. We've bounced all of that previous audio to just one file, and then we've got a suck back to finish off the small track. And then it jumps out, Pennywise comes out and gets you. That is a pretty cool use of those. And yeah, maybe that actually nicely wraps up the demo. I will sign off, I think, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how Trailer Xpressions, Sample Logic's Trailer Xpressions works. There's over 1,000 samples here, so even when I was going through and doing the walkthroughs, I still didn't really have time to investigate everything, and I still haven't. But the fact that you've got auditioning across the whole keyboard, that is really useful. You can very quickly work your way up the keyboard and audition all of those sounds. The fact that you've got the WAV samples is great. The fact that within the NKI you can find out exactly which samples you're dealing with and head straight to the WAVs if you prefer the WAVs. Obviously, once you've dragged and dropped the WAVs into your DAW, you could manipulate them in any way you want to. And don't forget, with this demo, I've not used any external manipulation at all. I've only used pretty much everything that's on the interface itself. So super handy. You don't have to go into your mixer. Obviously, if I was doing a whole orchestral crazy trailer kind of score, then I would. Now, trailer scoring's not really my bag. It's not something that I've done a lot of for a living. I do a lot of production music and that kind of thing, but I've still found a home for a lot of these sounds in the music that I do. And as a couple of people mentioned on the chat actually whilst this was going on, they have thought of where this would be useful as well. So yeah, normally $199. I featured it in one of the Samplecast shows a few weeks ago. It's currently on intro price for $129, but I think that only lasts for the next few days, and you can bring it down even more by 10% if you use the offer code. Just head to the link in the show notes or the description of the description of the video. That will click you through straight to the Trailer Xpressions site, and then when you're going through the payment process, the Samplecast 10 off. And yeah, good luck. Anyone who picks it up, do let me know what you think of it. I want to see that negative political ad from Chuck Butler. I don't know if anyone saw that comment pop up, but yeah, I'd love to see what he makes of the sounds here and uses it on those kind of political adverts. I'm really intrigued by that. But what I'll do is I will just spend maybe the next couple of minutes or so going through and auditioning some of the categories of sounds that I haven't shown you so far. I'll switch off my mic. You've had enough of me yammering on, and the camera as well. And yeah, we'll just go through and I'll play some of the stuff which you haven't necessarily heard yet. I'll just play the samples, then you can see exactly what's going on. Chuck Butler says, YouTube won't let me send my link, but my company is Monster Tracks. I'm going to check that out straight after this. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget the Samplecast every week is on at www.thesamplecast.com. It's your weekly check-in for all things sample library and plugin related with the Sample Cat, not the Sample Hound, unfortunately. But you can find me on the podcast and YouTube show every single week doing that and chatting about everything new that's out, freebies, bargains. I've featured sample libraries that I've worked on, sample libraries that I've done promo for, and just random sample libraries as well. There's no company too big, no company too small that gets into the show, and I want to keep it that way because it's completely independent and unbiased. So do check that out at thesamplecast.com. Get in touch with me on the comment sections. You can send us an email, thesamplecast@gmail.com. Thank you so much to Sample Logic for sending me this and getting me involved. And hopefully there's more goodies to come from them soon. Yeah, and I'll sign out with just a flick through some more of the sounds on Go My Massive headphones. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye now.